Yo, I'm Pastor David Jock, lead pastor of the Kingdom Church here in Orlando.
And I'm Pastor Mark Antoine. Good to see everyone.
Yo, I think it is critically important that we have an honest conversation with you about South Florida. A lot of you have been DMing, a lot of you have been letting us know we can't wait to come. A
Yep.
lot of you came to the launch service. A lot of you have already made plans on thinking we are coming, and we just wanted to be upfront,
Yeah.
let you know what happened, where we are, and maybe there's still interest, and maybe we can do some things on a monthly, quarterly, but whatever the case is, we just want to have this conversation.
That's right.
And so, how this piece came about, many, many years ago when I was 16, 17, Pastor Elon and I used to do a conference down south for the Greater Orlando Baptist Association called A Tribute to the Lord. Our responsibility was to get second generation Haitians to stay within the context of the local church. And so we'd set up these revivals and we would do it at Pastor Jules' church. Shout out to Pastor Henry Jules, which Pastor Patrick is now leading Bethel. And we used to use their church, and we used to bring people when you used to have to get a letter from the pastor
Old
to
school.
approve. And they would sign off saying their youth can come, and they'd send one pastor to make sure that it was what it was, right? And so we were like, yo, what an amazing opportunity it would be to go back and do a one night in South Florida. And then when we started thinking, Pastor Mark came into the fold because I knew how much he loved the Haitian community. We all do, but he has a unique love for it. And I felt that I don't want to do a church there, but we just want to do a one night piece, and it would be great an opportunity for him to actually minister to that community. And I know when I say like he loves the Haitian community, like, well, what do you mean? No, I mean he because some people say they love it. They don't love it like he loves it. He's a citoyen, right? Yo, tell them about like your story about how Haiti's like so connected to you.
Yeah, for sure. I was born in Haiti, and my family immigrated to the States when I was still a baby. So we grew up in Philadelphia. But at 27 years old, God called me. I really discerned a strong call to move back to Haiti. And so we moved. I moved to Haiti in 2015, and we lived there. My wife, our children lived there with us, and we stayed in Haiti. And we really had no intention of coming back to live in the U.S. We ministered in Haiti. I was pastoring and doing itinerant preaching, but also working. And so we had a great time in Haiti, and our dream was to remain in Haiti, minister, help rebuild the walls of the city, much like Nehemiah did when he moved back to Jerusalem. Unfortunately, with the context and the climate of Haiti, it just wasn't feasible for our family to remain. And so we decided to come back, and my wife grew up in Orlando, and we got connected with the Kingdom Church, and so we landed here. But our heart really remains in Haiti and with the Haitian people.
And this is unique because Pastor Mark could go anywhere. We could put him anywhere, but his heart is for the Haitian American community, that diaspora that is here, and to minister to them. So we're like, what a more fruitful place to go than South Florida. Just do a one-off, see what it is, and then kind of go from there. When we went and started advertising, I received a message from a young lady that was asking the question, would there be any interest on doing a church in South Florida? And I'm thinking, they must have saw the ads. Like, yo, and she was like, no, I didn't see the ads at all. It's Friday, September 19th. This text comes in, and I'm like, wow, okay. They wanted us to talk to the parents about potentially taking over the church. And I'm like, one, I'm not looking for a church. Two, where's the church at? Like, what's the church about? So, long story short, we ended up going down there. Maybe like 11 days later, we had a conversation with the pastors, had great conversation. We brought 7 guys, I believe. We drove down to South Florida to meet. And then it was just a great conversation. From there, we were discerning the will of God. Like, is God in this? Does God want this? We ended up in December deciding to do a service at their church, HEBC. And when we were doing it there, we wanted to do it at an American church because I have friends that have churches in that corridor. And when I was asking people, where should we go to hold it? Everybody's like, yo, if you want to track West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, you need to be in Pompano. I'm like, Pompano? I know Pompano, but I don't know Pompano. But I knew I had a friend there, so we were going to utilize their facility that's already kind of established. And when we had this meet in September, we were discerning. We said, hey, let's just use your church. And you can kind of see our style. You can see how we do ministry. You can see how we operate. And then you can determine if this church is a fit. It's one thing to see a TKC on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's another thing to go
Up close.
You ever been to a church you saw on YouTube and then you went inside, you're like, what in the world is happening here?
For sure.
So we ended up having that service. The pastors were ecstatic about what they saw.
Yeah.
We were blessed by what we saw because our heart was to extend the life of the vision and the ministry. Like both of us come from Haitian churches. And the crazy thing is your church name in Philly was?
HEBC, Haitian Evangelical Baptist Church. We all we got.
So like, I grew up, and the intention of the South Florida piece was not just to be a Haitian alone. It was to have a Haitian American component.
That's right.
And then the Haitian side, which was already existing. They already had a Haitian church. So it was like, this is the best of both worlds. We could do a Haitian church that's already existing, carry and fulfill and further the mission of what HEBC's already done for many, many years, doing a great work. And then add the American side where we can get Latins, we can get all types of culture, very diverse community. So once we started to move forward, January came and Pastor Mark and I would do all these calls together because I wanted to make sure he was hearing the same thing. Their son was leading the call, who is a genius, a bona fide genius. He is his mind, his ability to navigate complex matters. He did it in such a godly way. And to this day, I'm still blown away by meeting him. It's just incredible. So we were being told that there was another contender in the mix. And for us, we were like, I'm in the middle of my master's program. I'm like in the thick of it. And I just like, hey, we don't have time to kind of do the dance. If you want us to take over this church, then you need to make that decision. So I think the date that we gave them was February 13th. And the reason I gave that date was because February 14th was the day I got saved. I knew I couldn't do February 14th because it's Valentine's Day. So I did the day before, right? So we met, and from this meeting, they said that.
Yeah, they were quite excited and confirmed that through prayer, they were moving and making the decision to move forward with TKC and handing over their church to us, and it was a blessing. Sure.
Yeah, one of the challenges though is that when we were rolling it out, it was once a month we would go down there and just kind of preach. Pastor Mark was going to go down, and so for me, I was excited, but then I like, honestly, y'all, I always tell my church I have a 10-year retirement plan. Like I'm almost on that track. I've been preaching since I'm 16. I don't want to stop leading God's people. I want to lead in a different avenue. So we're now making arrangements. You got to imagine if we go into a facility, we got to almost TKC it. Right? We're not going to go in and change an established church for 42 years that's done an amazing work. But we do need to add some things based on what we saw in the service that would enhance our experience. So we're making budget plans. We're meeting literally every week, talking about what does this look like with the pastors? How do they want this to be done? And then we start laying out a timeline of when they will announce it to their church. I believe pastor got sick the week they were supposed to announce it. And then, so we had to kind of wait, and then he was able to announce it, and we then decided we would announce it on our side. That's right. And so we had a meeting about how this all, like kind of how it all unfolds. So we get to it, and April 2nd is the date that we said we're going to announce it, because remember, we got to come down once a month. We got to mobilize teams. But in the process, at least for me, or you can speak for yourself, I'm making phone calls. Hey man, we're potentially going down south. It's solid.
For sure.
And we want to make sure that you can help support. So, pray about it, talk to your pastor to leave, to come join us. So we're doing all of those things behind the scenes while in the middle of a master's program, in the middle of leading this church, because we're all in. And for us and for me, one of the things I told the pastor was, we want to make sure that while you're alive, you can see the fruit of your work. Yeah. And one of the works was to rename, they had the fellowship hall, to rename it after him so he could see his legacy and continue. And I know when you have a baby, I mean, if I have an older kids, if someone were asking me to give it away, it's gonna be a hard thing to do. Like, it don't matter how many times I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put them up. When you start thinking about it, I don't know if you're the right one.
Not easy.
So we understand that that is a hard emotion to do and to go through. But and someone said, well, why didn't you do contractual agreements? Like, we were moving towards that. Yeah. And originally my thought was, let's move to contracts, but our people, right? Like, you can speak to how insensitive, for those that may be watching, how insensitive that comes across without doing relationship first.
Yeah, and in many cultures, and the Haitian culture being one of them, a lot of the negotiation is relationship building. And without that trust, there will be no contract. Right. And when you do business all over the world, you will see that a lot of the business is done through a handshake, conversation, and then we get to the actual paperwork. And so for about 6 months, we were having these conversations, and there was paperwork during that time, but a lot of that was, building relationship, conversations, meeting, getting to know each other.
And even the pastor said, he said, I do on a handshake.
That's right.
My word is my word. And I was like, Pastor, I appreciate it, but for my sake, let's put it on paper. And so just slow walking them to the contract phase. And, attorneys are expensive. And because our church is a little larger, we decided that we would bear the burden of the responsibility. So during that phase, we're doing title search. We want a clear title. We didn't ask them to pay for it. We paid for it. We decided that we're going to do the drone shot, and evidently their property is next to an Air Force base. So you have to have special clearance to actually get flyovers. So you'll see some of that we did. We got the flyover. We did that to prepare to announce. And then we had this conversation that we're rolling it out April 2nd. We roll it out April 2nd. Yeah. And then that April 2nd was a financial disclosure for TKC. Every year we do a financial disclosure. We tell how much money's in the bank, where all the money's been spent, line by line. So this is the context of the Sunday. We're doing a full, transparent financial disclosure. And we stand up and say, we're acquiring HEBC. These are the things that we will need in the future. So our church can be aware, we mention this phrase, and we will take care of the pastors until they transition. And why? Because honor is huge for us. I have a pastor that was a bishop that had a church. I pulled him from his church, took him on, and I told him, if you work with me, any desire you have, I will try to fulfill. And he was like, I have one desire, is to go to Africa. I was like, I got you. And that was fulfilled in 2016, we went to Africa. I have another pastor who has been on our team, wife transition, like, we're gonna take care of him until his last breath, right? He now works on staff, part-time, he's retired, gets to do that. I have elders in my church who are motherly and who are widowed, that some of them have been prayer warriors we take care of so far. For me, they were like mommy and poppy, like, yo, we gotta, like, I'm sure for you, like, they had more of a connection with you because you were gonna be the one who was gonna lead.
Yeah, and I think what you said about honor, especially in these cultural contexts, is so huge. Taking care of those who came before us, honoring, respecting our elders. And what you said is very, very true. I saw them as my parents, and I respect and honor my parents. I saw them as my parents. And I think that's the heart with which we shared that.
Yeah, and that's the sentiment. And a lot of our church has Haitian Americans, and they could appreciate, that's right, because we were talking about honor as well as a church, because that's one of our pillars for the year is honor up, honor down. So that fit within the context. But culturally, Haitians are very private people. Hence, we didn't share any specific details. But I've been a part of a church where, and I've seen churches where the leaders were not honored. And if you worked in anything for 42 years, the people should expect you to be honored, right? That's our thinking. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And then it went totally south from there. Now, mind you, we had posted, we had the city was going crazy. Like people were talking big about this. And then you just kind of saw us stop. Yeah. And we won't tell you where the stop came. So we get an email about, you need to take this down. I'm like, what is happening? So I call our media team. They're editing it out. We have this meeting with the parents and the son about this. And
we had the meeting and they shared that unfortunately they did not want to continue. It was pretty abrupt. They shared some things and some details with us, and I think for us, due to the time that we had invested over 6 months conversing and building a relationship, it was pretty shocking, especially because a few weeks before we were considering going down 3 times a month.
Yeah.
So
we were moving from the conversation now to contract phase, and after that conversation, it started going south, and then it started to become, hey, take down posts that we had. Y'all know the argument was, why are we making this announcement on YouTube? Like, the world is on YouTube. Yeah. Like, your church attendance, and a lot of Haitian churches can't relate to that because with the exception of there's a lot more that are online now. TG, you got the one in New York that are massive, that are doing online ministry. So if they don't broadcast it online, the people who are online won't know. Like they're literally a part of the church. Like there are people like, yo, I'm TG, I'm online, or so this is very or Prière de Midi, there are people who connect with it online. So for us, we were communicating to our members that watch and are part. So from there, we had a meet about if we got to take it down, then there's really no way we're going to be able to let people know what's happening. And we ended up having a reconciliation to where we were moving forward. We thought, we're good. Yeah. They're like, hey, it was a bad bump. It's like, hey, this is a learning portion of the relationship. Yeah. We're going to learn and do better. We're going to do better. So we just said, hey, anything else that we need, we'll get approval from you. If it's a flyer we're going to announce, we'll run it through the son. He'll get it approved by the parents. So we didn't post anything. Yeah. They gave us an email stating that, hey, you guys can now go back and post, go back and share. But I didn't feel easy because I recognize that your credibility is very important. And so we didn't put anything out there. Yeah. We did a service on first Wednesday in April. It was after the 2nd, and it was Lent. And first Wednesday for us is always a night of prayer, typically. And so we were teaching through what the church believes Lent is. And if you've been to seminary, you know that Lent, the date, came about through the Council of Nicaea. They're going through setting up when resurrection will be, what they called Easter. And so we're like, hey, let's inform the church on where historically these things come about. So they're not ignorant, right? So Lent's about prayer. It's about 40 days of posturing your heart towards the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. And they were asking, were we reformed because we're doing that? And Lent is not a reform thing. Like we have AMEs who celebrate Lent, Baptists who celebrate Lent. Like our intention was not celebrating Lent. Our intention is we want you to be informed. Like we want our church is a very studious church. We have a next generation who wants to know, and you lead young adults, which is the inquisitive generation. So then that became the sense of contention, and then we got a text message at like 11. I got a text at 11 p.m. at night for a meeting on Monday, and that's when we were told it's done.
It's done. And what's funny is that same morning was the morning we were getting ready to send contracts for the attorneys and had everything drawn up.
So that morning we had contracts already teed up so that we can have these things ironclad, because we started to see people argue with words, but sometimes you need to argue with paper. So we wanted to have it all etched in writing after we saw that. And then we realized that we gave it a little bit, and then one of my board members, Thomas Brown, retired pastor, he said, hey man, I can understand their plight. I was a pastor. I turned my church over. It's never an easy sentiment. I'm willing to drive down there because he's like, yo, I know your heart. I know you're going to take care of them. I've seen you take care of Pastor Outing.
Yeah.
And as a friend, I can speak to that and assure them. So I sent the message through the son, like, hey, can we give one last shot? And you ended up having the conversation with her about that.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Pastor and his wife, and unfortunately, they were just they did express, and you can tell, a sentiment of just being unsure, but just not able to move forward. And I think it was a mix of reasons. But in the end, after almost over an hour talking on the phone, they just said that we couldn't move forward.
Yeah, and his health was declined. So we were planning to go from one time they wanted to three. And so imagine talking about leading church 3 times to South Florida, but we were always, our answer to everything they asked was always yes. Because we want to honor their sacrifice, their labor of love. And like, yo, they may even be watching, or some members may be watching. Like, I think anytime you build anything, we see a building, they see their baby. And we recognize that. I don't want this to come across as dishonoring to them. We would still serve them if they were open. We just believe that it is our responsibility to be clear in our communication so that we don't have to communicate in multiple different facets. But our heart towards them is still the same. Like, these are legends in our communities, and we need to uplift them. And whether TKC is a part or not, we still need to honor the work that they've done for 42 years. We need to honor the work that their children have contributed to that, from the school to all the various things, and the proud doctor that's from their midst. Like, yo, that's amazing feat. And the wife, both master degree individuals. Like, you don't find that in our community. So it is our responsibility, even in our displeasure, to still honor them. And I know some of you came on and thought, oh, they're going to give us the tea about them. Like, no, they're just human beings who have to make hard decisions about the value of their church. And they've done a great work. And I would hope that people, even whomever they pick, would honor their contribution to a city. Like, building a church as a Haitian pastor, without the money, the resources, you're spending all your time at the church, you don't have the staff. Like, it's a wonder. Like, when he talks about the story of how he built and how much trouble he went through to build, it's a hard thing. And I want to summarize this by saying, if there's an interest in South Florida, I mean, we would love to hear it. You can text Broward to the number on the screen. Maybe we can come together. We had something planned, and maybe we'll keep it. We had something planned with Success Junior that time to come down. And maybe that might be our closeout to that. But we just want to honor the spirit of what the intention that we're trying to do is, to be a blessing, not just to them, but to the work that deserves to continue to be amplified. And we didn't do it right. Maybe we should have learned some cultural barriers that we thought we knew, because every culture is a little different. But the heart still remains the same. Like, we want to honor them. So that's my piece. I wanted you to hear it from us. Pastor Mark, any final closing?
Yeah, and we want to say thank you to everyone who has been supporting, writing, those who were there, as Pastor David said, came to that first service, those who have been writing, those who continue to write, hey, when y'all coming down, when's it happening? Thank you for your support, for your prayers. We really were encouraged and continue to be encouraged by your outreach to us. And we're sorry that we have had this delay and this hiccup, but we continue to stay in prayer. And we also want to say thank you to HEBC and Pastor and his wife. Obviously, things didn't go the way we envisioned, but I think that there, as we've been saying, that we still want to honor. And you don't get 40 plus years by accident. God has given you grace, and we honor that, and we thank you for your hard work and being an example for all Haitians. And I think, we'll see what the Lord does. There's much more to come. As we would say in French, toutes choses concourent au bien de ceux qui aiment Dieu. All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. And so we'll see what happens.
We'll see y'all on the other side. Stay tuned.